Yes, well, another one. Some of them I just can't do anymore. There's just so many falling at the moment, and this is another one that reminds me that my time's about to come because, yes, Tom Verlaine's 1 year older than me. Um, I knew it'd be a bad year. I just knew it. Jeff Beck, Tom Verlaine. I don't care for David Crosby. I was never into Crosby, Stills and Nash. And I like the first couple of Birds singles, but that doesn't count for much. And there are others, Renee Gayer, the Queen of Soul, Australia. Um, I know every year's bad now. It's gonna just keep getting um, worse because that whole generation that precedes mine, like the Stones and the Beatles, they're like 10, 11 years my senior. They're going to be dropping soon. You know, what's left of the Beach Boys will be dropping. There's just so many of them. It'll just be, it's almost like it's a waste of time to even bother doing this. But I do make an exception for those that really, really impressed me or had an impact or were game changers or whatever. You know, I mean, Jeff Beck, they don't get much greater than that, do they? I mean, apart from Jimi Hendrix. So, but I didn't make one on Jeff because I just knew there'd be millions and millions of videos, and there'll be millions of uploads on this as well. But I feel I just have to do it. So I can't find my original copy of Little Johnny Jewel, the first single by Television. I think it came out in late '74 on Ork Records. It was run by a guy called Terry Ork in New York. um, and Little Johnny Jewel. It's spread over two sides of a 45. It's very minimalistic, incredibly minimalistic. But at the time, it was a breath of fresh air. It was a bit like Jonathan Richman and the Modern Lovers, you know, Roadrunner. They're not in the same style, but we're going back to simpler, um, repetitive type music where they just it's just the same thing goes over and over and over and over, but it works beautifully. I suppose a throwback to the Velvet Underground, even though the Velvet Underground had only been extinct for about 3 years or so before Little Johnny Jewel or Roadrunner. There are others I can name, but those two spring to mind. Anyway, I'm an old guy. I'm 72 very soon, and yeah, so I he didn't put out that much stuff, to be honest with you. Yes, I have the single on Orc. I tried to find it in my 45s in this front room here, but I'm hopeless at putting things back where they belong, and it must be in the other room, which is a nightmare because there is no cataloguing whatsoever. It'll be in a box somewhere. And to be honest with you, I haven't really played it. When I first got it in '75, or whenever it came out, I know it was recorded. I'm pretty sure it was recorded in '74, but I didn't really first hear it until maybe '75. And I got it in an import shop in Sydney, here in Australia, and I thrashed the hell out of it because it was so different for the time. So, it was right. It was as that awful prog bombastic with music that is its most boring and bloated, and this little thing just came out of the radio, weedy sounding little thing. I just thought, my God, this is like Hank Williams, 1948. Though it's not. Anyway, so I couldn't find that. Unfortunately, I would have loved to have shown it because I don't think it sold that many copies. It was very, very hard to find. Um, I know that. I was lucky to get it. So, of course, I only have the obvious one to show, which I think this is the best, one of the three best albums from, I think it's '77, yeah. And my other favourites, Blank Generation's pretty good, Richard Hell, but it's not a classic. Um, Suicide by Suicide, I think '77. That is, oh man, that is a classic. There's a few. Even David Bowie had one that year that was a classic. So there's a few classic albums, and so I wouldn't put this at number one, but I'd put it in the top three. This is my original. I bought this in 1977, and when I played this to my friends, they all sort of first heard it. They sort of couldn't quite get it, and then after a few plays, they got it. I did buy the follow-up, Red. I think it's called Red or something like that. It it wasn't as good as this. This is a classic. It's a masterpiece. Yeah, the follow-up was all right. It wasn't called Red. It had a red cover. But Adventure, nah, huge disappointment. I remember my friend Tony. I went round with. I said, I've got the new television album, Adventure, and we whacked it on. I think the first track was sort of similar to this, and then we just sort of looked at each other, and we just knew that that was it. It was done. It was a one-off, one-hit wonder, and what a wonder it is. The title track itself, it's basically Little Johnny Jewel, but beefed up with a big back, with good solid band backing. Whereas Little Johnny Jewel is more or less just him and the guitar and not much else. That's about all you could hear on the record. Just his voice and the guitar. You don't remember any other instrumentation on it. I know there must have been some, but yeah. So in some ways, Marquee Moon's sort of like the huge prog rock version of Little Johnny Jewel. A long extended hypnotic mantra of this tune. A masterpiece, unbelievable. The rest of the album, every track's great. See No Evil, Venus, Friction, Marquee Moon side 1, Elevation side 2, Guiding Light, now that's a good one, Prove It, and Torn Curtain. They're all great tracks, but it's the title track. Marquee Moon is, it's, I don't know, it's your sad-eyed lady of the lowlands, whatever you want to call it. Now this I love. Just called Tom Verlaine. I think it's his first solo. Yeah, 79, because they broke up in 78, yes. So this is a great album. Dare I say, I think it's not a, an original masterpiece like Marquee Moon, but by God, it's a great solo album. This is so good. The Grip of Love, Souvenir from a Dream, Kingdom Come, Mr. Bingo, Yonky Time, Flash Lightning, Red Leaves, Last Night, and Breaking in My Heart. Now, Breaking in My Heart's the one that David Bowie covered, I think, or was it Kingdom Come on Scary Monsters and Super Creeps? One of them. I can't remember. Getting old, see. But it doesn't beat the original. This Breaking in My Heart is the killer track on this, in my opinion. The last track on side 2. And Kingdom Come from Memories, probably just about as good as that. So, not much more to say. This is my original. Both on Elektra, I think. Yeah, good old Elektra. So, that's it. That's my measly. Maybe he did make other solo albums, but in those days there was so much great stuff coming out that if you missed one and it was gone, you missed it more or less. Pre-internet, etc., etc. So, R.I.P. Mr. Verlaine. Yep, it's a bad one.